Ah, that's right. I was talking about football. And NFL isn't the only football league that's just started. College football has also just started. I think week 2. Most teams across the country have about 2 games under their belts. Of course, as the new school season arrives, fall arrives, it's football all around. So not only was the Patriots and the Chargers coming out with close wins against their opponents, but there was also some really highly nationally watched games that were just as exciting and just as close. We had USC with and Ohio State, with Ohio State in the shoe, trying to break that losing streak against USC, and you had Michigan and Notre Dame with in the big house with 2 coaches kind of on the hot seat, and Ohio State at home almost had the game, but unfortunately for them, the Trojans were able to keep that win streak in Columbus, extended to, what was that, like 6 games, I think it was. So they pick up a big tally mark in that, in any BCS rankings and the BCS standings. And and Notre Dame was almost able to take down Michigan, but the Wolverines and were able to take the home win against the Fighting Irish. Sorry about that. I'm stumbling over my words again. Happens when you don't have notes. But ended up, and Michigan and Notre Dame ended up basically swapping positions outside or within the top 25 in the standings. Notre Dame's out, and Michigan jumps in at number 25. So the 2 true freshman quarterbacks, Matt Barkley and Tate Forcier, showed up big time and were able to lead their teams to big wins, national stage, and they're off to very good starts in their collegiate careers at the helms of these powerhouses in college football. So congrats to them. Downside is that USC's Barkley kind of hurt his shoulder a little bit, so he's trying to recuperate so he can be able to play on Saturday, the next game, USC's next game. But he's on the mend. Throwing apparently is somewhat still painful, but he's trying his best to come back. So some good games in college football, including some of ours, University of Houston Cougar football team. Week 1, long story short, it was basically a beatdown from like the first 30 seconds of the game. No, let me see, 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the game against Northwestern State. Northeastern, it doesn't matter what northwest, southeast, it doesn't matter where, they could have been from the Arctic Circle, it doesn't matter, because they got the ass kicked by us and the Cougars, 55-7. It was I'm gonna stop knocking. 28-0 by the end of the first quarter, 41-7 by the end of the half. Just about all the starters were pulled after halftime. Junior quarterback Case Keenum was pulled at the beginning, early on in the third quarter, with 395 yards, 4 touchdowns, including a rushing touchdown he had. So he, left him in a little bit, just a tiny bit later than the starters. Trying to break that 6,000 yard receiving record. And get those touchdown records. So he's good start for him on that note. Bryce Bell had 2 touchdowns. Freshman Charles Sims had over 130 yards receiving, with a rushing and a receiving touchdown. So very good start for these guys. Afterwards, when the starters were pulled, a lot of freshmen. I think the whole defensive line they said were freshmen, and a lot of underclassmen were able to come in off the bench. UH basically clearing off the bench, letting them play, showing their inexperience. They only got 2 touchdowns in the second half, but you know, Northwestern State didn't get any, so whatever. Showed kind of the flaws and the mistakes, and what they need to work on. So good news for the good experience for them. See where they are, gauge where they are when it comes to an actual game on the field. So we have that win, a blowout on our belts, going into week 2 against number 5/6, whatever, Oklahoma State. And the Cowboys, well, I guess, obviously were the favorites. This is, it was a nationally televised game. But we went into Stillwater with a mission, and the Cougars definitely delivered. They were up 28-7 by halftime. So that tremendous U of H offense was obviously showing its colors. But the third quarter did belong to the Cowboys. They definitely came back with a vengeance and had, whatever coach was telling them in the locker room, Mike Gundy, it was definitely showing through, because they did come back. They actually took the lead 38-35. But the fourth quarter came back to belonging to the Cougars, who scored 21 points in that fourth quarter, led by, of course, Case Keenum. Great plays by Patrick Edwards, Bell again, and Carrier to be able to lead Houston to the win and defeat 45-35 the number 5 team in the country at that point, Oklahoma State Cowboys. So an upset actually put us into the top 25 of the AP polls, putting us at number 21. So a huge win for the University of Houston on that front, a huge upset. Oklahoma State, by the way, dropped all the way to number 16. So it's great news for us. So now we go into a bye week before facing Texas Tech at home at Robertson Stadium on September 26th. So some people are kind of upset that we have a bye week now for different reasons. Having a bye week this early, you rather have it later on where, your players can rest up, heal their wounds for that. A lot of people just think, it breaks the momentum we've had from the last 2 games, last 2 victories, to have that momentum. I say momentum, yeah, can be a good thing, but it's also, slightly overrated. This week is an opportunity to maybe get ourselves focused and, clear up. And, there was a lot of, especially in that third quarter, you can see a lot of the faults within the Cougar football team. I saw mostly defensive faults. Sometimes, when the Cowboys had a lot of third down conversions, they were able to, get easy touchdowns, easy plays, easy interceptions. So special teams too, the special teams defense also wasn't exactly up to par. One badly placed kick, and the Cowboys were able to make the punt return for a touchdown. So I think they're really defense. Coach Sumlin might be working on that a lot for this bye week, and take the opportunity to fine tune everything and make sure especially these underclassmen, are prepared to take on Texas Tech at home and keep this winning streak going, and hopefully climb up the polls and show the BCS and AP Wills and everyone else what we've got here at the University of Houston. So, and Texas Tech doesn't have a bye week. They're actually facing number 2 University of Texas in Austin. So hopefully, the Longhorns are able to soften them up before they come here. Another big game in college football this coming weekend is University of Florida Gators versus the Tennessee Volunteers. So an SEC battle. We'll see if number 1 Florida is able to beat the Volunteers, or if the Volunteers will come up with an upset for Tennessee.